I made this pot and these flowers all out of dried corn husks, and I'm gonna show you how to do it. It's really not that hard. So first we're gonna make the dye, and we're gonna take uncooked black beans. I used a little over 2 cups. It doesn't really matter how much you use, just cover it in water. Cover it by about 1.5 inches of water, and then let it sit for about 10 to 12 hours. After you let it sit, it's gonna give you a pretty nice blue-gray tone. And then I'll show you, look, if you get a little bit of baking soda, that'll yield a more blue tone. Alternatively, if you get some vinegar, that'll yield a more pink to purple tone. And this isn't just with beans. You can do this with blueberries, all kinds of different dye. I'm learning. I don't really know that much. I've been winging this whole thing, and I just learned this, and I'm still pretty jazzed about the whole thing. But yeah, look, on the right, it's pretty blue. On the left, it's pretty pink, and it's both just bean water. All right, now we're gonna wanna prep our corn husks. You're gonna get 4 parts water to 1 part vinegar. After you simmer it for about 25 minutes, don't boil it, simmer it. But you can see how translucent that got. It's pretty nice. Then you're gonna simmer that translucent corn husk you made in a pot with the dye. So I got my dye, put some vinegar in there, and it gave me that nice little pink color. I let that sit for a bit, then I ended up putting some baking soda after a little bit, because I kind of want in between a pink to blue tone. So you can see after about 20 to 30 minutes of simmering, look how vibrant that color is. I was honestly shocked. I think it looks pretty sweet. I was pretty hyped about that, not gonna lie. I let some of them sit in that bean juice afterwards just to get a little more of that blue in there. Alright, now we're going to move on to making the pot. You're going to make a bunch of rope. I've got a video on how to make the rope, so go look at my video. It's also not that hard. If you want to do it, just do it. It's not that hard. So alright, now we're going to thread a needle. I didn't even know how to thread a needle, if I'm going to be honest. It took me like 20 minutes. I mean, I threaded it, but, tying it, whatever. I'm just saying, dude. I winged this whole thing, so if you want to do this, you should just do it. It's really not that hard, and it's pretty fun. It's just time consuming, but it's not that bad, and it's pretty sick. So look, you get a bunch of rope. I did like 6 feet of rope, and then I just folded the end over itself, wrapped it a bunch of times, and then so now the end is just stuck to itself. Get your needle. You're going to string it through there, and then you just keep rolling this rope over itself and keep threading the needle through. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. I was like sort of trying to do a V-stitch, but I don't really know what a V-stitch is. Like, I looked up a video on how to do it beforehand and kind of figured it out. But this was super rough and, I just figured it out. So I would encourage you, if you want to do this, just do it. I'm telling you, it's worth a shot. Making the rope is not that bad. Sit down, put on some regular show, put on Rigbone and Mordecai, and just make the rope with your dried corn husks. Alright, look. So I'm going to show you from a couple angles. All I'm doing is just folding this thing over itself, and then I'm just stringing my thread through. It'll take a bunch of, you're going to keep rethreading your needle X amount of times and keep tying it off, but it ain't that bad. I spent like 2 weeks on and off working on this. It's not going to take you 2 weeks if you devote a little bit of time, but I had to research how to do the dye, whatever. Now I'm just compiling it all. All I'm saying is I winged this whole thing and was really just figuring it out. But look, slowly it just builds in. You keep rolling it over itself. Once you have it as wide as you want, then just start stacking your rope on top of itself and making a wall. And then just keep threading it the same way. It's really quite simple. And if you think you don't know how to sew, so what? Because I didn't either. I just figured it out. And then it worked out. So, yeah, more of the story is just do it. Because it's pretty fun. So look, boom. After, few hours of sewing, boom, you have your pot. And few hours, don't worry about it. It flies by. Just put a movie on and you're chilling. Alright, now we're going to make the flowers. So I started with some green rope. So look, this is my, some of that corn husk that you saw earlier was, when I dried it, it's just brown. But some of them came out green. I tried to make some dye with spinach, and it just turned into a gross mess. So I'm going to make a video in the future about all kinds of different colors of dye. but I now know spinach does not make a very nice green. All right, look, so just get some of your green corn husks if you have some, and then just wrap it over. It's nothing fancy. I just wrapped it over the top of this skewer. Some basic skewer I found at Walmart. So the supplies are super simple. So look, wrap it over itself, and then I just wrap my green thread over it a few times. I didn't even tie it off. I just, hit it with a few little wraps. And then boom, look. Now we're going to make some of the little petals. This is going to be the same thing for making the petals. But look, you just fold it over itself, and then fold that over itself. And I'll show you this a few more times. It's really simple. And then just wrap it a few times. Nothing fancy. This whole thing is really quite simple. Fold it over and fold that over itself. And then just wrap it. And then it's the same thing. So at the top, I used some smaller sections, especially you'll see in just a second. Once I grab my colored corn, I do smaller sections towards the top, maybe 3-inch sections. Make a little petal, wrap that thing. And then towards the bottom, I want it to kind of gradually get into bigger petals, kind of look like a little bit of a bloom. So you're going to see in a second. Cut them into, about 3-inch sections. And you're just going to fold it, make yourself a petal. Boom, fold it in half, and fold that half over itself. And it just makes a nice little curved, little petal looking thing. Boom, simple. And let me tell you, I was tripping. I wanted to make like snapdragons, and I found one video on YouTube showing you how to make snapdragons with origami, and oh my gosh, it was so complicated. So whatever, I saw this other technique, and I think it kind of came out snapdragon-like. So anyways, you can see that one's a little longer. That was maybe a 4 or 5-inch section. I don't know. I am not good at measuring. But towards the bottom, as I go on, I'm just going a little bit bigger sections. And you can do as you please. You want real small petals? Do it real small. You want some bigger petals? Do them bigger towards the bottom. I also did lighter towards the top. So I took some of my lighter colored petals and I kept those towards the top. And as I moved towards the bottom, I did end up with some darker colors. And you saw earlier, I put some of those, I put some of my corn husks back into that bean water. That gave me a nice darker, more of a blue tone. And so towards the bottom, I put those darker colors, and towards the top, the lighter. You can really do whatever you want. I'm just saying that's what I did. I think it came out pretty cool. I also, you'll see every now and again, I'll kind of get my scissors and I'll snip the middle of my petal. So I'll fold my petal and then I'll snip right in the middle, and that I thought kind of helped wrapping it around. On one of the flowers, I just I didn't snip, and then on my next flower, I was like, oh I'm gonna start snipping this thing. So look, now I just got some of those green petals. I got some of the green husks, and first I just wrapped it around the bottom of my stick. Just wrapped it around, nothing fancy, just wrapped it around and wrapped my thread around. I did it kind of messy, but you can't tell from a distance, who cares? And then get some of those pieces, cut it into like a 4-inch section, and then just snip a little spike at the end. And then look, you can see what I'm doing. I'm just taking this little leaf looking shape and I'm just wrapping it. Nothing fancy. The whole thing is really not fancy. And you can get fancier with it, and I'm gonna do more of these. So if you think this is cool, stay tuned, because I'm gonna make cooler ones, or whatever. I'm gonna make some different ones and keep exploring with this. And I just really want to encourage everybody to just try this, because this whole thing was really an experiment. And it was a gift for a friend, and she likes snapdragons and she likes periwinkles, so figured out what snapdragons and what the heck periwinkle is and tried my best to make them. But yeah, I figured it out. You can figure it out. Boom. Snip the bottom. Nothing fancy. Okay, I put some clay in the pot, and for future reference, next time I'm going to put more dried black beans in the pot. One, because I use the beans for the dye, so that's fun. Also, then you can kind of move them around. Once my clay dried, I couldn't really move them around, and later I ended up breaking the clay in there, so whatever. They just started sitting a little weird, and dude, I almost didn't even. I spent like 2 weeks working on this present for this lady at my work that's really nice. I spent like a bunch of time working on this and researching it, getting ready for it, and whatever. So then, I was upset because you can see some of the skewer and I didn't paint it green, so I would paint that skewer green next time, and then it started sitting a little wonky. And then I was like, dude, this thing probably sucks. She's gonna look at it and spit in my face and be like, ugh. But no, that's just, whatever. I trip out sometimes. But she really liked it because it's pretty cool and it was a nice thing to do. And so whatever. If you're working on something and you're like, oh man, this is not working out, oh my gosh, just see it through and it'll be fine. And if you want to do this, even if you don't want to do this particularly, maybe there's something else you want to do. Just do it and you'll be glad you did it. I almost gave up on this a couple times because I was like, I watched a video on how to make origami snapdragons, and by golly, that was not forgiving. I was like, dude, I'm never gonna do this. And whatever. I'm just saying, I had a lot of fun doing this. If you want to do this, do it, and it's not that hard. Or, it's just time consuming. A lot of things are just time consuming. They're not as hard as you think. Just go for it. Hope that was somewhat informative. I'm going to make more of these flowers in the future, so I'm going to make more videos in the future. I'm also going to make an in-depth video about all kinds of different dye you can make. Like I bet you didn't know you can make pink dye with avocado pits. I also didn't know that until a week ago. I didn't know any of this until like a week and a half ago. So anyways, hope this was enjoyable to watch and learn about. I'm gonna make more stuff like this in the future, so stay tuned if that sounds interesting. And I appreciate you. I hope you have a nice time. Hey, look, it's me, might get some black beans, make some blue dye, kicking it like Muay Thai, kicking it with Rick B and Mordecai, with some corn husks that are real dry, with some real dye, weave them up and make me some dang rope, kid, got you looking like dang, that's kinda dope, kid, weave them up, make me a little basket, get the husk, make me some flowers, talking snapdragon, so fantastic, I could keep it going, keep it flowing, keep it in motion, but look, I'ma just quit it after that, cause look, I'm getting sidetracked.